Hello and welcome to another video from Between the Ropes TV. Guys, I'm glad to be back. Thank you very much for having me back on. I'm really glad to be back on. Guys, I really want to break down this fight between David Benavidez and David Lemieux for the WBC interim super middleweight belt. This is going to be in America on the 21st. This is on Saturday for you guys over in the UK. This is going to be quite an intriguing fight, particularly for those who want to see who's next in line for Canelo's belts at 168. And this is a very intriguing fight, and I'm going to try and break down this fight. I like this fight for a number of reasons, because you've got a puncher, a known puncher, against a volume puncher. I don't think David Benavidez is a puncher. I know a lot of people are looking at the fact that he's 25 and he's got 22 knockouts. People are saying he's a banger. In my opinion, he's not. He's a volume puncher. His knockouts and stoppages come from accumulation of punches that he throws and he lands on his opponents, and that's where the stoppages come from. He's not a one-punch KO, not knockout artist. That is David Lemieux in this fight. He's the puncher in this fight. And that's what makes this fight so interesting, because when you look at styles make fights, it's a little bit like rock, paper, scissors, thumb. Rock, paper, scissors, sorry. And what I mean by that is some styles do well against other styles, and then some styles do poorly against other styles. Usually a volume puncher, a swarmer, doesn't do very well against a puncher. Yeah, that's because the volume puncher tends to come forward to land their shots, but doesn't always have the power to get rid of the puncher, who's the bigger, physically stronger guy. So it's a rule of thumb. That's what tends to happen. But the reason why I like this fight as well is because Benavidez is coming off a 5-fight knockout streak. When you look at the opponents that he's fought, they're not. I admit they're not the strongest of names, but then again, there isn't very many in the 168 division, is there? The best opponent he's faced, I would probably say, would be Anthony Durrell, who's the brother of Andre Durrell. You guys will probably remember Andre Durrell from when he fought Carl Froch. Anthony Durrell has a pretty good resume. He's been in with the likes of Avni Yildirim. He beat Avni Yildirim. He beats Sadio Bika. He fought him twice. He had a draw against him the first time. He beat Badu Jack, and he also beat Marco Rubio as well. So he's got some good names, decent resume. And Benavidez got rid of him in 9 rounds. Benavidez has also got rid of Jillian Love. He also got rid of Kyron Davis as well. So they're gatekeepers at best in the super middleweight division, but you can only beat who's in front of them. And Benavidez's style has always served him well. Looking at him, the other thing is how well he makes the weight. In my opinion, he's a light heavyweight boiling down. He's a weight bully. But he's made the weight. He's made the weight at 166. He's coming 2 pounds inside the limit. You look decent on the scales. He never looks great because of the amount of weight he takes off. But look, he's made it. That was his biggest challenge. He's made the weight, quite comfortably. If you're looking at just the numbers, physically, I would argue against that. But it's going to be interesting to see how he holds up. How well he's rehydrated, how well he takes the physicality of David Lemieux. Even though Benavidez is the bigger man in terms of height, it'll be a challenge to see how well he copes with the physical strength of David Lemieux, because that's how David Lemieux is going to have to win this fight. He's going to have to be cute and land these heavy shots, and really rock and test that chin of David Benavidez, because that's going to be tested by the amount of times he drains himself to make the weight. So that's what makes it really intriguing. Going on to David Lemieux, I feel as though David Lemieux's been around forever. I really do, guys, because this kid was a real prospect when he turned over. The Canadians, they at the time when he turned over, they didn't have an army of professional boxers, so they got really excited by anyone half decent coming through. But I would say David Lemieux's best spell was probably 2009, 2010, when he was obliterating everybody in middleweight. He looked really frightening. Not many people could cope with his power. He then ran into a couple of half-decent opponents, Joachim Alcine, Rubio at middleweight. He lost 2 back-to-back. Then they built him back up, to be fair. They built him back up. Then he ran into Golovkin, lost against Golovkin. Again, they built him back up. He stepped up to middleweight after he fought Billy Joe Saunders, and he's won 5 since 2017, since he boxed Billy Joe Saunders. But again, he's not fought any great names since then, and he's not looked as powerful and as effective at 168 as what he did at middleweight. I mean, he's 5'9". Benavidez is 3 inches taller at 6 foot. For me, against the type of opponents that he's faced, he's just about got away with those frailties. Billy Joe Saunders made him look really, really slow, really, really plodding. But Benavidez isn't exactly lightning with his footwork, but he has got quick hands. I just think that the way to win for Lemieux is he has to, when Benavidez comes to him, because Benavidez isn't going to go running from him. Benavidez is going to go right to him. He's got to be physical. He's got to really, really put it on Benavidez as Benavidez is coming forward, because Benavidez hasn't got the best defense in the world. He leaves plenty gaps. He leaves himself wide open. He doesn't tuck himself in as he's throwing his combinations, which leaves him wide open. And against a puncher, that's going to be quite dangerous. So that's, for me, Lemieux's best way of winning this fight. Benavidez has got a couple of options. He can look at using his height and reach in this. He tends not to. He's not well known for his jab, but for me, he's got to vary the way he comes in. He's got to use that lateral movement. We know that Lemieux hasn't got the quickest feet in the world, so pivot, make Lemieux reset all the time, because what's that going to do is Lemieux's going to try and cut off the ring, but he's just going to end up following. End up following Benavidez around the ring, and that's when Benavidez can get his combinations and then move again, get your 3s and 4s, and then get back out. And that's what he needs to do with his footwork. He needs to sharpen that up and sharpen up his defense, because Lemieux, the last thing to go is a punch. And although Lemieux's been around for 10, 15 years, he can still punch as hard as when he was as a red hot prospect back in the day. His reflexes and defense might not be the same, but he can still punch, and that punch can still hurt Benavidez. So he needs to sharpen up on that for me. But it's an interesting fight, because I think the winner has got an argument to be up there in the rankings with the WBC. Let's see what Canelo's going to do. If he gets the Golovkin fight, they'll have to wait. But it puts him in a real high position, because for me, the big problem at super middleweight is the 3 or 4 people that are at the top there just aren't fighting each other. So this, for me, is the final fight for Benavidez before he either looks to fight someone like Caleb Plant, Jamal Charlo, somebody of that ilk, possibly for a vacant belt if Canelo decides to vacate, depending on what he does next. But guys, let me know what you think in the comments below. It'd be great to hear from you guys, and I'll be back on very, very soon with Josh and Scott, with the boys. Take care, guys. Catch you soon.